Devin Vassell had 26 points tonight. Steph Castle, 17 of his 19 come in the second half, but too much Marcus Sasser and the Detroit Pistons. 27 for the second-year man from Houston. Pistons win it 122-96 as we continue Spurs Live. Dan Weiss back courtside here at Little Caesars Arena. Despite the loss, Devin Vassell continued his stellar month of March. Coming into tonight, Devin averaging almost 20 points this month and shooting a 40% from beyond the arc, and had another great start tonight. 11 points in the first quarter as he got off knocking down a couple of threes early in this one. Looked like he was primed for a big night. And unfortunately, just the Spurs couldn't buy a bucket in the second quarter. That included Devin, basically anyone in silver and black, as Vassell picked it up in the third quarter and was able, in fact, in the second half to get 14 of his 26 points in the second half altogether. A solid night overall, again, shooting 6 of 12 from beyond the arc to go with 6 rebounds, 26 points. But again, it was that second quarter that really doomed the Spurs, where they were just 2 of 19 from the field, and it went from an 8-point game to a 26-point game at the half, and that ended up being the final tonight as the Spurs fall 122-96 here in Detroit to the Pistons. Sandro Mamukelashvili, he had a solid second half as well, too. Knocked down 3 3-pointers, hitting the twines all 3 times for Mamu. This one a little step away from Fontecchio. More Spurs Live, and we continue after this. Spurs have split the first 2 games here of this Eastern Conference trip as they fall 122-96 to the Detroit Pistons here tonight. Dan Weiss back inside Little Caesars Arena here as the Spurs fall in this one after knocking off the Raptors the other night. Take a look at the final stats here tonight. And, I think when you overall look at the numbers in this ball game tonight, the Pistons end up winning the categories you expect them to win. They win the fast break points. They win the points in the paint. That's 29 consecutive games, by the way. The Pistons have now outscored their opponent points in the paint. The problem is they also win in a couple areas you don't expect them to win in, as they outscored the Spurs by 3, winning the 3-point line, and they also outscored them by 3 from the foul line as well, too, and they came into this game both underwater in both the 3-point and free throw shooting. So you win those, you combine that with the points in the paint, you combine that with the fast break points, and obviously a tough shooting night for the Spurs, and you end up with the final score of the Spurs falling in this one, 122-96 here to the Pistons tonight. Steph Castle, tough start, but a strong finish. 17 of his 19 come in the second half tonight. Spurs fall 122-96. We'll hear from Mitch Johnson on the other side. We'll take a look at the finale in Cleveland on Thursday when we return after this.
Do you expect a little more competitive game, or is that just a tough matchup for you guys?
No, we expected more. Give them a lot of credit. They're physical. They guard. They make you work for everything. They are really committed to the paint and the rim on both sides of the floor. We missed a lot of shots. They had something to do with that. They were pushing us off spots. They were getting us off our timing. We had 6 points in the paint in the first half. That's not sustainable.
Did that enter into it in the second quarter, that long drought without a field goal, about 10 minutes?
Yeah, I felt just a little bit of everything. We missed some decent shots. We didn't play through the initial resistance or physicality that they showed. We got pushed to the sidelines a lot. We weren't able to gain advantages. We didn't set good enough, physical enough screens. And to be honest, to be able to hold's probably the wrong word, to give up 60 points in a half when your offense is that bad actually puts so much pressure on your defense. I thought we were actually playing okay defensively. I thought in the second half we had a better response. We came out and we moved the ball and we played with more intention to get the ball in the paint and gain some advantages for our teammates.
JB talked before the game about Devin looking more and more like a lead guard, like he's wanting to carry the team. I guess on a positive note, he did it again tonight. He came out pretty strong.
Yeah, I thought he was aggressive. I thought he was one of the few guys in the first half that was intentionally trying to fight for spots and space, and you saw that. I think he had almost half our points, so he was a bright spot there in the first half, and then even the second half. And it was even, again, some plays that won't show up as scoring or on the box score, but he had some physicality plays tonight that he didn't have when we played them in Austin. So it's just, again, another example of where he is impacting the play that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score.
You headed to Cleveland. That's not going to be an easy one either. What are you hoping to see?
Some carryover and to kind of build upon the second half that we had here.
Mitch Johnson after this one here tonight as the Spurs fall 122-96, but again praising another solid performance from Devin Vassell, whose terrific month of March continues, finishes with 26 points here tonight. And as Tom Osborne from the San Antonio Express News alluded to. Cleveland next on deck here as the Spurs wrap up this road trip Thursday night, 6 o'clock. Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse right here on FanDuel Sports Network. We'll get you started with Spurs Live beginning at 5:30. Final team that the Spurs have yet to see this year. They'll get Cleveland twice here over the final week of March. Cavaliers at their place, then back in San Antonio. Cavaliers wrapping up a long West Coast trip later tonight in Portland, so this will be their get-back game, as Sean often calls it, on Thursday night. We'll see if the Spurs might be able to catch him napping a little bit on Thursday night, and that's where we'll wrap up our final Eastern Conference trip of the season. Tonight, 26 from Devin Vassell, 19 for Steph Castle, 17 in the second half. Sandro Mamukelashvili finishes with 11, but the Spurs fall 122-96. For Jacob Toby, TJ Ford, our entire crew, I'm Dan Weiss saying so long. We'll talk to you from the land Thursday night. Have a great night, everybody.